Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. So the new Sims 4 loading screen pack, For Rent, came out last week, and now that I've had the chance to have a little play around with it, thought it might be a good time to make a review and cover some of the main features as well as my thoughts. If you've already played with the For Rent pack, I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. So let's start with Create a Sim. I thought there was a good amount of options available with this pack. The colour swatches are gorgeous. Some of them were a bit too flowy and baggy for my style, but there are some nice fitted pieces as well, which I can see myself using. There wasn't enough full body outfits for masculine Sims in my opinion, especially compared to the amount of feminine clothing there was. I mean, that's usually the case anyway, but the full body outfits especially really stood out as lacking for masculine Sims. There's literally just one outfit, and it's like a maintenance outfit. There were also some clothing options for children, toddlers and infants, which is nice. We did also get 5 new traits. Child of the Village, which basically makes your sim happy every time they're doing something related to the world of Tomarang. Cringe, which gives you some new cringy social interactions and can make your sim autonomously do embarrassing dance moves in public. Nosy, which can help sims with eavesdropping and snooping around. Generous, which again offers new social interactions and positive mood buffs when giving to charity. And Wise, which is exclusive to elder sims and allows them to use their years of experience to become excellent mentors. We also have 4 new lifetime aspirations. Discerning Dweller, which is about being the best neighbour and tenant. Seeker of Secrets, which is about snooping and uncovering secrets. 5-star property owner, which is all about being the best landlord possible, and Fount of Tomarani knowledge, which is all about exploring the world of Tomarang. Overall, Create a Sim offers a good amount of clothing, more traits than we usually get, and a good amount of aspirations. Moving on to build and buy. Let's start with the biggest build and buy feature, the new lot type of rental. You can now build a new rental from scratch, or you can turn an existing home into a rental pretty easily. So there's now a colour-coded system you can use to represent each rental unit space. There is a limit of 6 rentals per lot, but if you use the increase rental unit cap off cheat, the limit increases to 99. Selecting rental spaces is pretty flexible. You can have an entire apartment set as a rental, or you could just have one spare room in your house rented out. You could even use it to have little townhouses that function as rentals, so there's a fair bit of customization on offer here. You can also have communal spaces that all renters can use. So if your rental spaces are just bedrooms, then you might have your kitchen and bathrooms as shared spaces. Or you might want to build a shared games room or swimming pool. There are 2 new lot challenges as well that come with this pack. Maintenance Troubles, which brings on surprise events that your sims will have to deal with, like a power outage or a leak. And the Mould Lot Challenge, which will cause mould to start growing in your sim's home, and if left untreated could bring about the new mould-themed death type, which causes sims to turn into green mushroom monsters before dying. A new death type is always welcome in my game. And one thing I really like about this is that you can set the lot traits and challenges for each unit as opposed to the whole lot. So you can make one of your renters' life absolutely hell with mould growing in their unit, and having all your other ones think that you're wonderful. But I'll talk a bit more about the rental system when we get into gameplay, but in terms of build and buy, that's basically how you create a rental. Now, I'm not really much of a builder in The Sims 4, so I might not appreciate these items as much as builders do, but I thought the build items in this pack are quite nice. Lots of Thai-themed items for roofing, pillars. There are some pastel swatches as well, which makes me happy. I was impressed by the amount of pink stuff. And in terms of furniture, there's about as much as you would expect in an expansion pack. New kitchen, new bathroom, living room stuff, bedroom stuff. There's also a lot of objects that you typically find in a rental, like water pumps, air conditioning, fuse box, mailboxes, public bins, wall signs. Just typical maintenance and communal living stuff. We also got a new hot tub. We don't get these very often. I think the Sims team have held back on releasing hot tubs over the years. I guess probably because of that one time they sold us one hot tub for £5. But I do like this one. Finally, I have a hot tub that fits in with my Playboy Mansion grotto. We also have these tuk-tuks, which I'm sure you could take a guess on whether they're usable or not. The short answer is no, just decoration. In terms of functional objects, we have only a few. The slow cooker, which allows Sims to make 4 Thai-inspired meals. The long-awaited kettle, which comes with all of the tea possibilities you could want. This one makes me happier than I'd care to admit. Hopscotch, which can be used by adults too, and marbles, which is exclusive to children. Kids will always have marbles, but they can buy more at the night market, and they can trade marbles with each other. Honestly, I'm just really happy we don't have the same old activity table and doll's house. So that's Create a Sim and Build and Buy. Now let's talk about the new world, Tomarang. The world of Tomarang is probably the most disappointing part of the pack. Don't get me wrong, it is a stunning world, but it's really small. Only 2 neighbourhoods. And considering the whole marketing strategy around this pack was all about hustle and bustle and getting busy, there isn't much in this world to keep you busy. There were a few things that I saw in the trailers that I thought would have given a bit of gameplay, but they just didn't amount to anything. I remember speculating about whether the boats were usable, and that maybe the building next to the boats was meant to be used to hire them. I also saw from the Sims team updates that there would be botanical gardens and an animal sanctuary, which I thought also could have been new lot types, but all of that was wrong. The boats are just decoration, there's no gameplay there. The botanical gardens is just a few flowers and bushes offering no more gameplay than any other standard park in a base game world, and the animal sanctuary is just a rabbit hole. It does have a few story time pop-ups, but your sim just disappears, and that's it. In fact, rabbit holes have been the real star of this pack. You stumble across the temple and want to explore? It's a rabbit hole. You go for a swim and stumble across the cave on the little island? Rabbit hole. You find this building and notice it's a fish market. It's another rabbit hole. There are 4 rabbit holes in this world, which translates to not a lot of gameplay. You do still get the little story time pop-ups while your sim is inside, so I guess there is that if you wanted to feel more involved, but I personally find these wear a bit thin after a while. I read through all the storytime pop-ups when I was exploring the jungle and exploring the pipelines in Moonwood Mill, and after I read them the first few times, I just stopped using those features altogether, which makes me think that after a little while of playing with this pack, I'll probably also stop sending my sim to the Tomarang rabbit holes because the replayability isn't really there for me. That being said, I did really enjoy getting myself a tiger plushie after agreeing to adopt a tiger. And the night market is a good place to wander around as well. There's a line of stalls you can wander around, although only 4 of them actually sell stuff. But it is open every day and you can buy things here that can't be found anywhere else. So it is definitely worth visiting the night market. In terms of community lots, you have the botanical gardens, which I mentioned before, and a small lounge. In terms of residential, there are 3 empty lots, 2 house lots, and 2 rental lots. I don't really know why there are only 2 rentals in a world dedicated to living the rental life, and I kind of feel like there shouldn't be any standalone houses here at all. We have standalone houses in every world. Why not just have all of the residential lots as rentals in this world? That confuses me a bit. And that's pretty much the world of Tomarang. Quite small and not exactly thriving with gameplay opportunities, unless you count rabbit holes, which I don't. So let's just move on to gameplay. I'm going to start off by talking about living as a landlord and then move on to other gameplay features in this pack. So as a landlord, you'll have a new tenant menu, which will allow you to see who's currently occupying your unit's star rating, which is based on the size, amenities, environment and maintenance, and you can also set the rules for your unit. Like you can disallow pets, you can say no to social events and even ban ghosts. And also using the tenant menu you can set the rent amount, although there is a limit on how much you can charge based on your star rating, and you can also set how long the tenancy lease is. If your unit is unoccupied, you can progress to the fill vacancy screen, which will allow you to choose tenants to move in. You can't actually see who's moving in, you can just see the amount of Sims, their age ranges, and the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms they require, and their daily budget. Once you become a landlord, you'll notice that every few days or so there will be little maintenance events popping up. Your building might be suddenly haunted by a ghost that you need to confront and exorcise. Or maybe the oven's exploded. There could be a plumbing issue or electrical problem that you'll have to fix in order to better your rental's star rating. And ignoring these problems will result in a lower star rating because it will count your rental property as having poor maintenance, which they all start off with by default if you haven't had any events yet. All rental lots will have maintenance problems unless you disable them in the game options. And also, if you want, you can assign the maintenance problems lot trait to your non-rental residential lot, if you also wanted to have these issues in a single family home. Landlords and tenants will have their own social pie menu when interacting. As a landlord, you can find out if your tenants are happy by asking about rental conditions. If your tenant breaks any of the unit rules, then you can justly evict them, or you could be a tyrant and decide to unjustly evict Sims. Evicting Sims for no reason can have consequences though. When I evicted my tenant, I was met with a fine for 500 simoleons. If your tenants are unhappy with their living conditions, you may be on the arse end of a tenant revolt, meaning they'll start waving picket signs and protesting outside the property. At this point, all you can do as a landlord is promise to make their living situation better, and you can send a letter of conciliation in the post, which, if accepted, will increase your rental star rating. Life as a landlord in the day-to-day was a little bit underwhelming for me. Most of the obstacles you face, like dealing with a revolt or sorting out maintenance issues, are so easily fixed. You can be done with a maintenance event in probably less than a minute, and once the novelty of these events wears off, I can't see myself using it over and over again. It is fun and exciting when you first get your maintenance event, but it hardly disrupted my Sims day. In the space of one full Sim week, I had only 3 2-minute maintenance jobs to do. That being said, even though I think I'd get bored of living as a landlord, I do love the possibilities we have now that owning rental properties is possible. This feature opens up a load of doors when it comes to storylines. You could use this to do a rags to riches challenge, you could make the land grabs powerful again by having them own all the rented properties in the world. You could have an elder couple run a homely little B&B. So the rental system itself is really useful, I think. It's just a shame that this feature was locked behind an entire expansion pack. Aside from maintenance events, you can also get other random events pop up at any time, and this happens whether you're a landlord or a tenant. They are only small events, but at any given time you could be having a charity giveaway, which is where you post something for charity, or a pet adoption event, which is where you socialise with stray animals. I saw on Twitter that there were a total of 23 events, but that's also including all of the maintenance events and tenant behaviours like rule breaking and things like that. If you're living as a tenant, you'll be the one paying the rent, obviously. And you'll be the one that has to follow the rules if your unit has them. Breaking any of the active rules of your unit will result in a fine. I was actually really pleased to see that living as a tenant wasn't exactly the same as living as a tenant in City Living. I was worried that that would be the case because in City Living there was already the function of paying rent and reporting issues to the landlord, so I was happy at least to see that there was something new on offer for tenants as well. One of the features that came with this pack, which I did enjoy, was the ability to snoop and find other Sims' secrets. Sims with the nosy trait will have an easier time of this, but any Sim can go around snooping. You can access the secrets of other Sims by eavesdropping on their conversations, listening in by the front door, or you could just break into their house. When you live in a rental, you can only see your unit, so if you decide to visit next door to say hello or to break in, even though it's on the same lot, you'll still have a loading screen. And if you decide to break into a Sim's home that isn't on your lot, you'll have one loading screen to get there and another loading screen to break in. I think it's because in order to break in, the game needs to make sure all the Sims are sent away from home, so yeah, you just end up with 2 loading screens. Once you manage to break into another Sim's house, you can snoop through various objects and eventually you'll uncover a secret about them. The secrets seem to be randomly generated, so I think if you uncovered the secret for the same Sim in 2 different save files, you'll probably get different results. And even though breaking and entering doesn't offer any burglar gameplay, you can still swipe things if you have the kleptomaniac trait. Once you've uncovered a Sim secret, you can tell them that you know, and you can either promise to keep it for them, or you can blackmail them, which will result in the Sim you snooped on handing over some cash to keep you quiet. If you get caught breaking into a Sim's house, there's a good chance they'll catch you red-handed and start a fight with you. But if you're into a fight, not really a problem, you're not going to get in any real trouble. Police NPCs still aren't a thing, which is a shame because it would have been such an appropriate NPC to introduce with this gameplay. But no, there aren't any real consequences of you breaking in, except you might get punched in the face. For Rent also introduces a part-time job as a handy person, 2 new events, and a few new collectibles. You'll notice in Create a Sim that a few items of clothing are locked and can only be unlocked by purchasing them at the night market. And there's also a tassel top that can only be obtained by collecting all 10 tassels, which can be found by exploring the rabbit holes, buying them from the night market, and digging up sand piles on the beach. The 2 new events are Pool Party and Potluck. The Pool Party is kind of unrelated to the expansion pack. It's pretty much how it sounds. You just invite Sims over to swim in the pool, chill in the hot tub, and have some drinks. The Potluck event is quite sweet. You have multiple Sims turn up with food to share, and you all just eat, chat, and have a good time. There's also a bit of lore in this pack as well. I haven't delved too deeply into it, but there is an interaction called Tomarang Truth, which basically helps you understand a bit more about the residents. Like the guy that I spoke to told me his son was a science baby, and they named him after a tiger. So I'm sure if you dedicated a bit of time to talking to everyone, you'll probably uncover a fair bit of lore. When I played with this pack, I didn't encounter many glitches. I had an issue where my Sim kind of got stuck in a loop when using the pressure cooker, but then did it correctly the second time, and that was about it. I've seen a few other people have had issues with placing wallpaper in Build and Buy. I saw a few people had difficulty getting the pack to work properly, but I personally didn't have any of those issues. So that's all I can really say about glitches. And that is more or less everything you get in the For Rent expansion pack. There were a few parts of this that I found really fun, like the secret system is quite fun, and I enjoyed playing as a renter and a landlord for the most part. Sadly though, I do think this is definitely one of the weaker packs in terms of gameplay. The rental system itself was pretty beefed out, but to be honest, I kind of think that even the most beefed out rental system isn't enough to justify an entire expansion pack instead of a game pack. I think most people, when it comes to expansions, will expect the core concept to be beefed out and also have enough additional gameplay outside of the rental system to justify the high price tag. And I don't really see that here. For the amount of content on offer, I feel like this is more comparable to Werewolves, Jungle Adventure, Realm of Magic, game packs. I think the real issue I have is that this is supposed to be an expansion. If this was a game pack, I'd probably be a lot more positive about it. And there is still fun to be had with this pack. I did enjoy playing with it, so I do think it's worth playing, but I definitely can't say that this is worth an expansion pack price. I know I say that most of the time, but I really want to emphasize that here. Unless you're really dead set on using the rental system right now, I would avoid buying this before it goes on sale. But if you have already played with For Rent, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. For now though, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, you know I love it when you do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.